Forget everything you think you know about reality. Forget the laws of chance and the limitations you have accepted as immutable truths. What if I told you that the life you live, the opportunities that come to you, and even the obstacles you face are not accidents but projections of something much deeper? For centuries, a knowledge has been jealously guarded, persecuted, silenced, and buried under dogma and superstition. Not because it was evil, but because it is powerful. A secret so transformative that its simple understanding restores to the individual the sovereignty over their own existence. This is not another audiobook about motivation or positive thinking. It is an initiation, an immersion into the principles of forbidden metaphysics, the science of consciousness that mystics, alchemists, and sages of all eras knew, and that modern quantum physics is only beginning to glimpse. The master key that opens all doors. The principle from which all others emanate is this: the universe is mental. Your mind is not a mere observer of reality. It is the projector that illuminates it, the architect who draws its blueprints, and the very substance it is made of. Why were books burned? Why were the Gnostics persecuted? Why was knowledge turned into a secret? Because a human being who masters his mind is a human being impossible to control. If these words have reached you, it is not by chance. Synchronicity has guided you. Something within you, an echo of ancient wisdom, is awakening and longs to remember. Join me on this journey as we unearth the secrets they don't want you to know. But be warned. Once the veil is torn, once you know the truth, you will not be able to go back. Your perception of the world will change forever. Chapter 1. The Great Illusion. The world is not solid. From the first moment you opened your eyes to this world, you have been trained to trust your five senses as the infallible arbiters of reality. Your sight tells you the wall is solid. Your touch confirms the table is dense. Your hearing assures you that silence is empty. And you have built your entire life, your beliefs, your fears, and your ambitions on the unanimous testimony of these five witnesses. But what if I told you that your senses are not windows to the truth? What if they were filters? Filters brilliantly designed by millions of years of evolution, not to show you reality as it truly is, but to show you a radically simplified, useful version of it, a user interface, an interactive hologram, designed for a single primordial task: survival on the three-dimensional plane. Think about it. A dog can hear frequencies that are absolute silence to you. A bee can see the ultraviolet light reflected in the petals of a flower, a world of patterns and colors that is invisible to you. A snake can perceive the infrared heat of its prey as a vibrant image in the darkness. Every living being perceives a different reality, filtered and constructed by the limitations of its sensory apparatus. Do you believe, then, with an arrogance so profound that it has become invisible, that your limited human senses are the only ones that, by a cosmic miracle, have captured the absolute truth? Forbidden metaphysics, the knowledge we are about to unveil, begins with this act of radical humility, the recognition that we live in a perceptual prison. And the first wall we must demolish, the first bar we must bend, is that of childhood solidity. The journey to the heart of the atom, scientific demolition. You don't need faith for this first step. I'm not asking you to believe anything. I'm only asking you to follow the logic of your own science to its most dizzying and liberating conclusion. Take your own hand, look at it now, feel it. Gently tap the table. It seems like the most solid, real thing in the world. It is the starting point of our expedition to the heart of the illusion. Now activate the microscope of your imagination. Let's magnify the image 100 times. What was once a smooth surface of skin turns into a landscape of cells, a vast mosaic of biological units. Let's magnify the image 1,000 times more. Now we are inside a single cell. We see the molecules, the complex chains of proteins and DNA. They are intricate structures, but between each of them there is space. Solidity fades. Let's continue. Let's magnify the image 1,000,000 times more until we can isolate a single atom. This is where reality, as you know it, begins to crumble. We were taught in school that an atom is like a tiny solar system, a dense nucleus with electrons orbiting around it. But even that model is a white lie to calm our logical minds. Modern science has discovered that the nucleus of an atom occupies such an infinitesimally small fraction of its total volume that, if an atom were the size of a football stadium, the nucleus would be the size of a grain of sand in the center. And the rest, the electrons, are not solid planets, but clouds of probability, vortices of energy that flicker in and out of existence. In essence, every atom that makes up your hand is 99. 9% empty space. Your hand is not solid. It is a ghost. It is a vast cathedral of void, populated by an almost insignificant amount of vibrating energy. And what you perceive as solidity when you touch the table is not the contact of two solid objects. It is the repulsion of the electromagnetic force fields of the atoms in your hand and those in the table. They are two energy ghosts repelling each other without ever touching. This is the first crack in the wall of your prison. Matter is an illusion. It is vibrating energy. The quantum revelation, the observer's secret, but the demolition has only just begun. Because if matter is only vibrating energy, what gives it shape? What is it that converts that formless energy into the chair, the tree, your hand? Here we arrive at the deepest, strangest, and most guarded secret of quantum physics, a fact so unsettling that Einstein himself called it spooky. It is the observer effect. In the famous double-slit experiment, physicists discovered something that defies all logic of the solid world. When an observer did not measure a subatomic particle, such as an electron, it did not behave like a thing. It behaved like a wave of pure potentiality. It was not in a single place. It was in all possible places at once. It was a cloud of maybes, but the instant a scientist placed a detector to observe which of the two slits the particle passed through, the miracle happened. The wave of potentiality collapsed, and the particle, as if it had made a decision upon being seen, appeared in a single point, behaving like a solid, predictable object. Repeat after me. The simple act of observing changed the behavior of reality. The implication is profound. Consciousness is not a passive spectator of a pre-existing universe. It is an active participant. The act of observing is not an act of seeing what is already there. It is a creative act that collapses infinite potential into a single fact. The ghost of potentiality was forced to choose a form, and the observer, the one who forced that choice, was you. The universal ocean, the source code of reality, the second forbidden truth, the one that lies beneath the illusion of matter, is this. The universe in its essence is an infinite ocean of vibrating consciousness. It is not a cold, dead vacuum. It is a wholeness, a unified field of energy and information, alive, intelligent, and receptive. Mystics of all ages have called it the mind of God, the spirit, the Tao. Modern physics calls it the quantum field, the zero-point field. It is vibration. Everything in this field is frequency. There are no things, only notes in an infinite symphony. Every possibility, that of wealth, poverty, health, illness, exists as a specific frequency in this ocean. It is interconnection. In this ocean, nothing is truly separate. The idea that you are here and a star in the Andromeda galaxy is there is an illusion of perspective. At a fundamental level, everything is interconnected in this unified field, like waves in the same sea. Every vibration affects the whole. It is pure potentiality. This field contains the information of everything that has been, is, and could be. It is the hard drive of the cosmos, containing an infinite number of potential realities, waiting to be activated by the light of an observer. And here we arrive at your true function, your true identity. In this ocean of consciousness, you are not a swimmer. You are a wave. You are not separate from the ocean. You are the ocean, expressing itself in a focal point, in a temporal and unique form. You are the universe, knowing itself through your experience. The human transceiver, the double role of consciousness, your individual consciousness, yourself, has a double and magnificent function in this dance. You are at once a receiver and a transmitter. Transceiver. As a receiver, Your five senses act as an antenna that tunes into a very narrow band of the infinite frequencies of the ocean. What you call reality is simply the radio station you have learned to tune into by default. As a transmitter, this is the key to your power. You don't just receive, you also emit. Your own state of being, the sum of your thoughts, your emotions, and your beliefs, is a frequency you are constantly transmitting to the ocean. You are a radio station, broadcasting your own song, your own vibrational signature. And by the law of resonance, the ocean around you cannot help but reflect back to you, like an echo, the notes of your own song. The world does not happen to you, it resonates with you. Dismantle the alchemists' workshop. The first practices with this new astonishing understanding, your life ceases to be a reaction to an external world and becomes a conscious creation. You now enter the alchemist's workshop, where you begin to practice the arts of consciousness, to learn to wield your own power. The first practice, de-identification, the actor's awakening. To change your signal, you must first realize that you are not the signal. You must stop identifying with the character and remember that you are the actor. Your practice is detached observation. Throughout your day, you pause, and you observe the thoughts that cross your mind, the emotions that flow through your body. You don't judge them, you don't cling to them, you simply observe them. In the moment, you can observe your thought, or your emotion. You realize a liberating truth. You are not your thought. If you can observe it, you must be something greater than it. You are the silent consciousness that is aware of the noise. You have taken the first step to becoming its sovereign observer. The second practice, the signal audit, the musician's diagnosis. Once you have learned to observe, you begin to audit. You become the engineer of your own radio station, listening to the song you have been unconsciously transmitting. Your practice is vibrational auditing. Several times a day, you ask yourself, what frequency am I emitting right now? You don't have to analyze your thoughts. Simply feel your body. Your body is the most accurate frequency meter that exists. Do you feel expansion, relaxation, lightness? That is the signal of a high, harmonious frequency. Love, gratitude, peace. This audit is not to judge yourself. It is to become aware. You cannot change a song you don't know you are singing. This is the first act of the Creator's responsibility, recognizing his own broadcast. Chapter 2. The Conspiracy Against Your Power, Why This Knowledge Was Hidden. You have been introduced to the truth that you are not a passive victim in a material universe, but an active co-creator, a participant in the cosmic dance. And this revelation, inevitably, gives birth to an unsettling question, a question that echoes through the corridors of history with the sound of a choked cry. If this power is so immense, if it is our birthright, if it is the fundamental truth of our existence, why don't we know it? Why does this knowledge feel like a secret, like something forbidden, like a truth that must be unearthed instead of one that is taught to us in school? Why has it been veiled, distorted, and often violently suppressed? The answer is as simple as it is dangerous to those who have held power throughout history. Because a human being who awakens to his true power is a human being who can no longer be controlled. Throughout the history of our civilization, a silent conspiracy has existed. Not necessarily a conspiracy of evil men in dark rooms, but a conspiracy of consciousness itself, a war of paradigms. It is the war between two fundamental ideas that compete for the soul of humanity. The idea that power resides outside of you, in a king, in a priest, in a government, in an expert, in an external God who judges and rewards. The idea that power resides within you, in your own divine consciousness, in your capacity to choose, to create, and to access the wisdom of the universe directly. The world's power structures, political, religious, and even scientific, can only exist and thrive if the vast majority of humanity believes the first idea. Their survival depends on your amnesia. It depends on you continuing to believe that you are a sheep who needs a shepherd to guide and protect you. Because the moment a sheep realizes that it is not a sheep, but a lion with the power to choose its own path, the shepherd becomes irrelevant. And an irrelevant shepherd is a shepherd without power. This chapter is a journey through that history of suppression, not to generate resentment or blame the past, but to understand. Because only by seeing the walls of the prison and understanding how they were built can you find the door and reclaim your freedom. The first great fire. The burning of a way of being. Our history of forgetting begins with an act of immense symbolic barbarism, an event that marked a turning point in Western consciousness, the burning of the Library of Alexandria. Not only were books and scrolls burned, a way of knowing was burned. The wisdom of the ancient world, from Egypt to Greece and beyond, was not compartmentalized as ours is. Science, art, spirituality, and philosophy were one and the same thing, the search for harmony between man and the cosmos. They understood the universe as a living, interconnected organism, where the movements of the stars were reflected in the affairs of men, and where consciousness was the key that united the microcosm, the human being, with the macrocosm, the universe. The burning of the library was not just an accident of war. It was the symptom of a paradigm shift, the beginning of the end of the age of the mystic and the beginning of the ascent of the age of the dogmatic. Knowledge ceased to be a direct personal experience, a truth felt in the heart and validated in life, and began to become a literal text that had to be accepted without question. It was the first great act of the externalization of power. The truth was no longer within you. It was in a book, and that book, of course, would be controlled by an elite. The heresy of inner divinity, the persecution of the Gnostics. Perhaps no group in history understood and suffered so brutally for the secret of consciousness as the Gnostics. The early Christian mystics, whose worldview was so radically empowering that the institutional church, in its struggle for power, had to declare them heretics and erase their gospels from history almost completely. What was their heresy? Their unforgivable crime? Their central teaching, the one that condemned them, was simple and devastating to any external power structure. The kingdom of God is not a place you go to after death. It is a state of consciousness that is available here and now. And the divine spark, the Spirit of God, does not reside in a stone temple or in an intermediary priest. It resides latent within every human being. For the Gnostics, salvation did not come from blind faith in an external dogma or from obedience to an ecclesiastical authority. It came from gnosis, the direct experiential knowledge of your own divine nature. It was a path of self-liberation, of inner awakening. You can see why this was so dangerous. If God is within you, what need do you have for a church? If you can access the truth directly through your own consciousness, through your own intuition, what authority does a bishop, a cardinal, or a pope have? They taught spiritual sovereignty, and so their texts were burned. Their followers were persecuted, tortured, and massacred. The conspiracy against your power is not a theory. It is a historical fact written in blood, the alchemy of the soul, the inner transmutation. During the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, despite the oppression, the flame of forbidden metaphysics was kept alive in secret, in Hermetic societies, in the lodges of builders, and above all in the dark, smoky laboratories of the alchemists. The popular view of the alchemist, often fostered by his persecutors, is that of a greedy charlatan trying to turn lead into gold to get rich. This is a caricature, a distortion designed to hide his true, much more subversive work. The true alchemist was not interested in physical gold. His laboratory was a metaphor. His true work was the alchemy of the soul. Lead was the symbol of ordinary human consciousness, dense, ignorant, asleep, trapped in fear and matter. Gold was the symbol of Christ consciousness, of awakened consciousness, radiant, pure, incorruptible, unified with the Spirit. And the alchemical process, dissolution, purification, separation, coagulation, was the map of inner transformation, the process of using the fire of spiritual discipline and self-observation to burn the dross of the ego and reveal the gold of true divine nature. Once again, it was a path of inner power, of self-salvation, of creating one's own reality through the transmutation of one's own consciousness. And once again, it was persecuted. The Inquisition did not just hunt heretics. It hunted anyone whose power did not come from the official structure of the church. The alchemists, astrologers, healers, witches, all were practitioners of a science of consciousness that operated outside of dogma. And they were systematically eliminated, their knowledge ridiculed or destroyed. The conspiracy against the self, the ego's role. Now, we must turn our gaze inward, to the landscape of our own psyche. Because the most effective prison is not one with external walls, but one we build for ourselves. The most powerful conspirator against your awakening is not a king or a priest. It is your own ego. The ego, the personality you have built, is a brilliant survival mechanism, a mask, a character you created in childhood to navigate the world and protect your vulnerable core. Its main directive is not your happiness, your expansion, or your truth. Its main directive is security through the familiar. The knowledge that you are a creator, that your consciousness shapes reality, is the greatest threat to the ego's existence. Why? Because the ego's power resides entirely in the illusion of separation. Its identity is defined by the narrative of me versus the world. The truth of metaphysics, that you and the universe are one, is a death sentence for this separate identity. If there is no separation, the ego has no function. The tactics of self-suppression. Your own ego becomes the fiercest and most cunning conspirator against your own awakening. The tyranny of reason, the ego's most powerful tool, is the logical, analytical mind. The ego has elevated reason and common sense to the status of a god, and it uses this god to discredit, dismiss, and ridicule anything that cannot be measured by the limited testimony of the five senses. Your intuition is dismissed as just a hunch. A profound synchronicity is labeled as a mere coincidence. The ego demands proof, but it will only accept proof that validates the very system it controls. By keeping you worshipping at the altar of the limited logic of the five senses, the ego ensures you never use the true tools of metaphysics, your intuition, your feeling, your imagination, the very tools that have the power to dissolve the prison walls. The addiction to the familiar, the fear of freedom. The ego operates under a tragic principle. It would prefer familiar misery 1,000 times over unknown happiness. The state of being a victim, though painful, is territory it knows. It understands the rules. The state of being a sovereign creator is vast, open, and to the ego terrifying. Because in that state, there are no more excuses. There is no one left to blame. There is only power, and the immense weight of radical responsibility. The fear of freedom is often greater than the pain of slavery. The seductive narrative of the victim. Finally, the ego maintains its power by keeping you hooked on the victim narrative. This story is incredibly seductive because it offers the ultimate psychological reward. It absolves you of responsibility. If you are a victim of the economy, your boss, your genes, then your situation is not your fault. And crucially, if it's not your fault, you also don't have the power or the burden to change it. The ego prefers powerlessness to responsibility. The conspiracy closes the circle. The external conspirator, power structures, and the internal conspirator, your ego, form an unholy alliance, a perfect self-sustaining feedback loop. The external world validates the ego's fearful, limited beliefs, and the ego's beliefs prevent you from questioning the external world. It is the perfect prison, with the inmates policing each other and themselves. The conspiracy against your power has been revealed in its entirety. It is not just a historical force out there. It is an active psychological force in here. And the first act of the revolution, the first step toward true freedom, is not to fight the world's systems. It is to stop conspiring against yourself. It is to begin the brave sacred work of dismantling your own inner jailer. Chapter 3. The Primordial Law. The universe is mental. Imagine that tonight you have an incredibly vivid, lucid dream. In this dream, you walk through a strange and fascinating city. You feel the cold and the rough texture of the cobblestones under your feet. You smell the sweet, intoxicating aroma of freshly baked bread coming from a bakery on a corner. You talk to the strange and enigmatic characters who populate its streets. Their conversations are coherent, their personalities distinct. The dream's sun warms your skin, and a gentle breeze stirs your hair. Inside that dream, everything seems undeniably real. The city is external to you. The people seem to have their own will, their own secret lives. The dream's laws of physics, gravity, the solidity of the walls, seem immutable and objective. But stop for a moment inside that dream and ask yourself the fundamental question. What is that city really made of? What are the cobblestones, the bread, the strange characters, the sun that warms you made of? They are not made of matter. They are not made of atoms. They are made of a single mysterious substance, your consciousness. They are thoughts. They are mental energy. They are feelings that have taken an apparently solid form. In the universe of your dream, the observer and the observed, the creator and the creation, the dreamer and the dream are one and the same. Now, expand that idea. Expand it to a cosmic scale. The first Hermetic principle, transmitted in secret from ancient Egypt, posits that the all is mind, the universe is mental. This is not a simple philosophical statement. It is the key to the machinery. It posits that the entire universe in its totality is a great dream in the mind of an infinite, universal consciousness, which we can call the All, the Source, the mind of God. Everything that exists, from the farthest galaxy to the smallest electron, from your body to your thoughts, is a manifestation, a modification, a thought within this vast, incomprehensible mind. The universe is not a cold, dead, lifeless clockwork mechanism, as Newtonian mechanistic science taught us. It is a living organism of consciousness, a thought that thinks itself into an infinite variety of forms. It is a work of art that dreams itself into existence, from metaphor to physics, the mind as substance. This idea, which may seem like a simple mystical fantasy, is exactly the conclusion that the most advanced and honest quantum physics is pushing us toward. As we saw in the first chapter, solid matter is a perceptual illusion. At its core, everything is vibrating energy in a field of potentiality. Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, a man whose rigorous and mathematical mind changed the course of human history, came to this astonishing conclusion in the twilight of his life, after decades of studying the nature of matter. He said, and I quote, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness. We cannot get behind consciousness. Everything that we talk about, everything that we regard as existing, postulates consciousness. The universe is not made of things, it is made of thought things. The primordial substance of the cosmos is not matter or energy, but consciousness, your role in the dream. The co-dreamer, if the universe is a dream in the mind of God, what is your role? You are not merely a passive character in the story, a puppet in someone else's dream. You are much more than that. By the law of correspondence, as it is above, so it is below. If the macrocosm, the all, is mental, then you, the microcosm, must be mental too. Your individual mind is not an isolated, separate entity. It is a focalized center of the universal mind. You are a brain cell in the mind of God. You are a portion of the great dreamer who, through this knowledge, is awakening to his capacity to dream lucidly. And here lies the key to your power. As a co-dreamer, your individual consciousness has the capacity to influence, mold, and shape the portion of the dream that you experience as your life. Your thoughts are substance, not shadows. This is the second great demolition we must carry out in this chapter. We have been conditioned to believe that our thoughts are private, ephemeral, impotent events, silent shadows that cross the screen of our mind without consequence in the real world. The forbidden metaphysics reveals the truth to you. Your thoughts are things. They are energetic structures. They are vibrations. They are the blueprints, the molds, the very substance with which the scaffolding of your reality is built. A sustained thought, charged with the energy of emotion and conviction, is not a simple idea. It is a cause. It is a command you send to the universal field of consciousness, an instruction that the universe, in its nature as a mirror, is obligated to reflect. The scarcity in your bank account is the echo of your thoughts of scarcity. The conflict in your relationships is the echo of your thoughts of judgment. The joy and synchronicity in your life are the echo of your thoughts of gratitude. The primordial law has been revealed. You can no longer afford the luxury of having undisciplined or negative thoughts. Every thought is a brushstroke on the canvas of your life. Every mood is a color you are choosing for your work. You are no longer the victim of the painting. You have remembered that you are the painter, the birth of the architect, the power of intention. Once you accept this responsibility, something miraculous happens. The unconscious creator, the one who has been building his reality by default, dies, and in his place the architect is born. You stop being the victim of your thoughts, and you become their master. And the architect's main tool, his ruler and compass, is intention. A thought is often automatic, an echo of your programming, a reaction to the environment. It is a random brushstroke on the canvas. It is the noise of construction. An intention is a focused, deliberate, sustained thought charged with purpose. It is the act of taking the brush with a firm hand, consciously choosing a color, and drawing a line with a clear objective. It is the architect's blueprint. By setting a clear intention, you stop being the victim of the current of random thoughts and become the one who directs the current. You are giving the universal mind, your own expanded self, a clear and precise blueprint on which to build. The co-creator's workshop. First practices, we have understood in theory the most powerful law of all. We have seen that the universe is mental and that our intentional thoughts are its substance. But how do you move from understanding this law to applying it? How do you become the master painter of your own existence? You now enter the workshop of the co-creator, where you begin to practice the fundamental arts of consciousness. The first practice, the mental audit, making the invisible visible. Before you can direct your thoughts, you must first be aware of them. Your practice is the mental audit. It is the act of turning on the light in a room that has been dark for decades. You take a journal, and for one full day, your sole mission is to become the silent observer of your own inner monologue. You don't try to change anything. You don't judge yourself. You simply, like a scientist taking notes on a phenomenon, record the recurring thoughts. What is your inner dialogue about money when you pay for something at the supermarket? This is expensive and I shouldn't spend so much. What story do you tell yourself about love when you see a happy couple? That's not for me. It's surely not as perfect as it looks. What are your habitual thoughts about your body and your health when you look in the mirror? I'm getting old. I don't like this part of me. This act of making the invisible visible is the first and most crucial step. It will show you, with an often uncomfortable and surprising clarity, the seeds you have been sowing by default. It will reveal the true cause of the harvest you have been gathering. The second practice, the art of deliberate thought, planting a new seed. Once you are aware of your habitual thought patterns, you begin the gardener's work. Your practice is deliberate thought. You don't try to fight the thousands of negative thoughts you might discover. That is an exhausting, losing battle. Simply, you choose a new seed, a new idea, a new truth that you wish to cultivate. If your audit revealed a pattern of scarcity, your new seed is, I am a channel for infinite abundance, and money flows to me with ease and grace. If it revealed a pattern of self-criticism, your new seed is, I approve of myself totally and unconditionally, exactly as I am, and your practice is not mechanical repetition but conscious return. Throughout your day, every time you discover yourself entangled in the old thorny thought pattern, you do not fight. You do not get frustrated. You simply, gently and firmly, like guiding a child back to the path, withdraw your attention from the weed and return it to your new, chosen seed. You water it with a moment of your focus. You feel it as a truth. This is the training of the intention muscle. At first, you may have to return your attention to the new seed 100 times a day. But with each repetition, the new neural path strengthens, and the old one, deprived of the energy of your attention, begins to weaken and wither. Chapter 4. The Key of Vibration. The Language of the Universe. To have the universe execute your blueprints, you must learn to communicate with it in its own language. And the language of the universe is not that of words or of logical images. The language of the universe is music. We must now give you the key that turns your silent blueprints into a resonant magnetic symphony. We must explore the key of vibration. Forbidden metaphysics reveals to us that the universe is not a logical computer that processes your thoughts as if they were lines of code. It is an infinite orchestra, and every element of creation, from a galaxy to a grain of sand, is an instrument that emits its own unique note, its own frequency. You are no exception. You are one of the most potent and complex instruments in this orchestra. And your state of being at every moment is playing a note. This is not a metaphor, it is physics. Everything is energy, and energy by definition vibrates. Every state of consciousness, every emotion has a measurable vibrational signature. Science, through psychophysiology, can record the unique patterns of brainwaves, heart rhythm, and skin conductance associated with each emotion. Anger has a fast, sharp, chaotic frequency. Depression has a slow, low, heavy frequency. Peace has a smooth, rhythmic, coherent frequency. Joy has a fast, light, and harmonious frequency. Your dominant emotional state, Your inner climate is the fundamental note you are playing, the song you are constantly emitting to the universal consciousness field. And here lies the secret that superficial positive thinking completely ignores. The universe is a resonance field. It doesn't hear the lyrics of your song, your thoughts. It feels the music, your vibration. The law of resonance is impersonal, perfect, and infallible. If you play the note of scarcity, the vibration of worry and fear, the universe, as a cosmic tuning fork, has no choice but to make other scarcity notes resonate in your experience. Unexpected bills, lost opportunities, conflicts over money. If you play the note of gratitude, the universe must, by law, make events, people, and opportunities that harmonize with gratitude resonate in your life. You don't attract what you think. You attract what you are vibrationally. Cognitive dissonance, the untuned song. This is why so many well-intentioned affirmations and visualizations fail miserably. They create vibrational dissonance. You sit down to visualize wealth. Your conscious mind, the 5%, is projecting a sharp movie of abundance, singing the lyric, "I am prosperous." But your body, your nervous system, your heart, the 95%, is still vibrating with the familiar feeling of worry and scarcity. You are singing the lyrics of wealth over the music of fear. The signal you emit is contradictory, incoherent. It is static, and the universe, faced with a static signal, either does not respond or, by the law of least resistance, responds to the most potent and most practiced part of the transmission, the music of fear. The initiate in forbidden metaphysics does not focus on thinking prettier thoughts. He focuses on tuning his instrument so that the music it plays is, naturally, one of harmony and beauty, the heart as amplifier. The science of vibration, your central vibrational emission station, is not your brain. It is your heart. Science has shown that the heart generates an electromagnetic field that is up to 60 times more electrically potent and 5,000 times more magnetically potent than the brain's field. Your heart is literally the most powerful amplifier of your being. Your thoughts, generated in the brain, are the electrical charge of the field. They contain the information, the blueprint, the lyrics of the song. Your feelings, generated and amplified by the heart, are the magnetic charge. They contain the power, the attraction force, the music. When you unite a clear thought in your mind with a coherent, elevated emotion in your heart, you are creating a unified, powerful electromagnetic signature. You are giving the universe a clear blueprint and the energy to build it. A thought of your desire without feeling is a blueprint without builders. A feeling without a clear thought is energy without direction. The union of both is the act of conscious creation. The first practice, the vibrational audit, the frequency monitor. The programmer cannot debug code he doesn't see. His first practice is the frequency audit, running a real-time system monitor. Several times a day you pause. You become a seismograph of your own inner landscape. And instead of asking yourself, "What am I thinking?" you ask the vibrational programmer's question, "What am I feeling? What frequency am I emitting to the universe right now?" Bring your attention to your body. Do you feel contraction or expansion? Heaviness or lightness? Tension or relaxation? Name the emotion without judgment. I am running the frustration script. I am transmitting on the calm frequency. Locate. Where does this program live in my body? In the tension of my jaw? In the knot of my stomach? This simple act of naming and locating de-identifies you from the emotion. You cease to be the program and become the programmer who observes it. And in that space of observation, your power to change it is born. The second practice, the art of emotional compilation, the alchemist's compiler. The programmer knows that for a command to be executed, it must be compiled into a language the machine understands. Compilation is the act of uniting the intention, the semantic code, with the energy, the feeling syntax. His practice is emotional compilation. Choose your intention, the code. You have the new reality you want to program clearly defined. I am the embodiment of sovereign abundance. Generate the frequency, the syntax. You must generate the correct syntax, the frequency that will make that code legible for the universe. Change your physiology. Prepare the hardware. Stand straight. Open your chest. Breathe deeply through your heart. Use emotional memory. Evoke a memory of gratitude, triumph, or love. Feel that frequency in your chest, in every cell. The fusion, the compilation. You unite the frequency with the intention. You hold the image of your wish fulfilled, while bathing in the elevated emotion you have generated. You visualize your intention as a crystalline structure, a code. And you visualize your emotion as a golden light flowing from your heart and impregnating that structure, activating it. You have just compiled your program. The third practice, executing the program, embodying the result. Once compiled, the programmer executes the program. He does this by living in the frequency of the already executed code. His practice is to embody the result. You don't wait for the program to execute on the screen of your life to feel success. You feel success so that the program can execute. Throughout your day, you pause for 30 seconds to reconnect with the feeling of your wish already manifested. This feeling is the run command that keeps the program active on the universe's server. It is the constant declaration that the new reality is not a possible future, but a present that is unfolding. The key of vibration has been revealed to you. You have learned that it is not spoken with the tongue but with the heart. Vibration is the syntax and feeling is your keyboard. Chapter 5. The key of the inner eye, imagination as architect. The untrained mind, the one that has been programmed by the system of illusion, has relegated imagination to the corner of children and artists. It sees it as a form of fantasy, a useless daydreaming, an escape from real life. It is considered, at best, a harmless entertainment, and at worst, a form of self-deception, but the initiate in forbidden metaphysics knows the truth. Imagination is not an escape from reality. It is the workshop where reality is forged. It is the design room of the soul's architect. Every great human achievement, from the most imposing cathedral to the most moving symphony, from the bridge that connects two continents to the rocket that travels to the stars, first existed, complete and perfect. As a sustained image in someone's disciplined imagination, we must make a crucial distinction. Fantasy is passive. It is a movie we watch in our minds, often without control. A stream of images that entertains, distracts, or frightens us. In fantasy, you are the spectator. Creative imagination, disciplined visualization is active. It is the deliberate and focused act of building a mental scene with a defined purpose. It is not watching a movie. It is directing it, starring in it, and feeling it. The persistent daydreams, those visions of a better life that do not leave you, are not your whims. They are the blueprints that the universal architect is sending you, inviting you to study them, refine them, and approve them with the seal of your faith. The physics of imagination, how an image becomes a fact. The power of imagination is not a superstition. It is a law of the mind, a process that operates through precise and demonstrable neurobiological and metaphysical mechanisms. The brain does not distinguish reality. Your brain, and by extension your subconscious mind, the giant that truly builds your world, cannot clearly distinguish between an experience that is happening in the external world, perceived through your five senses, and an experience you are living with sensory and emotional intensity in your inner world. For it, if you truly feel it, both are real. When you perform an act in your imagination, you are activating the same neural circuits, releasing the same cascade of peptides and hormones, and sending the same signals to your body that would activate if you were performing the action physically. When an Olympic athlete visualizes the perfect race 1,000 times in his mind, he is creating muscle memory without moving, training his nervous system for success. When you, in the theater of your mind, vividly rehearse the experience of your wish fulfilled, you are rewiring your brain. You are building the neural superhighways of your new reality before the first brick has even been laid in the physical world. 2. The creation of a memory of the future. The result of this repeated mental rehearsal is the creation of a memory of the future. Your brain normally is an archive of the past. By creatively visualizing, you are hacking this system. You are acting as a time traveler. You travel to the desired future, experience it fully, and then return to the present. But you bring with you a memory of that future. Once this memory is installed through repetition and, crucially, emotion, your brain accepts it as a fact. And since the brain's job is to create coherence between your inner world and the outer one, it will begin to direct your perceptions, decisions, and behaviors to recreate it in the external world. You are giving your subconscious giant a new blueprint and a new reference memory. The chemistry of embodiment, your body, which is the physical expression of your mind, responds instantly to the images you hold. It is your inner pharmacy, and your images are the prescriptions you give it. By imagining your success, your body produces the chemistry of confidence and joy. By imagining your healing, your body can produce the chemistry of regeneration. You are teaching your body, on a cellular level, what your new reality feels like. And this feeling, the emotion, is the vibration, the music that magnetizes the manifestation. The imagination is the script. The feeling is the soundtrack. Together they create an irresistible movie for the universe. The allegory of the architect of the silent temple. The construction in the physical world was fast and without setbacks, because it was not an act of creation, but an act of translation. The temple had already been built in the dimension where all creation really happens. The dimension of the mind, the first practice. The forging of the perfect scene, the quantum mold. For your imaginal act to have maximum potency to impress the subconscious mind, it must be forged with clear precision and intention. It must be a quantum mold, a perfectly carved jewel, a 5 to 10 second trailer of your finished movie. The scene you build in your mind must follow 4 fundamental laws. The law of the final outcome. You never visualize the how, the process, the struggle. You always visualize the final accomplished outcome. You don't imagine yourself looking for a job. You imagine yourself in a conversation, joyfully saying, "I got the job." By living from the end, you are declaring with absolute faith that the creation is already finished. The law of the first person. You are the protagonist. The scene is always lived through your own eyes. You don't see yourself receiving a hug. You feel the arms around you. This makes it an experience, a memory. The law of sensory richness. To convince the subconscious that your scene is real, you must make it sensorially rich. What do you see specifically? What sounds do you hear? What do you feel on your skin? The more sensory details you include, the more real the experience is for your nervous system. The law of emotional impregnation. The scene must be impregnated with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The emotion of gratitude, relief, joy, and peace is the signature that seals the creation. The second practice. The nightly projection. The subconscious imprint. The architect knows that the most receptive canvas is the drowsy state, hypnagogic, just before falling asleep. Every night you prepare for your ritual of creation. Enter the workshop. You lie down, relax your body completely. When you feel the logical mind's guardian beginning to doze off, you open the portal. The loop. You gently enter your short, perfect scene. You live it in the first person, with all your senses and above all with all your emotion. You feel the texture of the signed document. You feel the wave of gratitude in your chest. And then the curtain falls. You return to the beginning of the brief scene and repeat it, over and over, like a lullaby, until the scene feels so real and so familiar that you fall asleep inside of it. This act of impregnating the subconscious mind just before sleep is the most potent act of manifestation that exists. The continuation. The law of non-resistance. What happens when you find a rock in the garden of your life? An obstacle. The programmed response is resistance. What you resist persists. The only way to win is to let go of the rope. Resistance is giving your attention to the problem, feeding it. The law of non-resistance, Wu Wei, reveals that the only way to win the tug-of-war is to drop the rope. The monster of circumstance, deprived of your resistance, loses all its power over you. And you are free to walk in a new direction. Surrender is not resignation. Surrender is the ultimate act of power. It is the declaration, I have done my part, set the intention and the state of being, and now I trust a higher intelligence to take care of the rest. It is the act of giving up the ego's illusion of control so that the universe's greater power can act. The art of blessing the obstacle. You don't just stop resisting challenges. You learn to love them and extract their wisdom. When you face a closed door, you bless it. You declare, I bless this apparent obstacle. I know it is a signal, a lesson, or a protection for my highest good. I open myself to understanding its message. This act transmutes the energy of frustration into one of curiosity and faith. The key of the inner eye has been revealed. You have learned that the greatest power you possess is not in your outer striving, but in your inner stillness and your capacity to imagine and feel. You are the architect of your own reality, equipped with the blueprints of your dreams and the ability to build them effortlessly through the creative power of your mind. Chapter 6. The Key of the Word, the Power of Decree. At the heart of every great esoteric tradition and every sacred text lies the same primordial truth. In the Gospel of John, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." In the Hindu Vedas, the syllable Om is the primordial sound from which all creation emanates. The ancient Egyptians believed that the god Thoth created the universe by naming things. The Logos, the creative word. This is not a simple poetic allegory. It is a literal description of a law of the physics of consciousness. A thought, as we have seen, is a subtle vibration in the field of your mind. It is a blueprint. It is pure potential. It is silent and invisible. A spoken word, in contrast, is a thought that has been embodied. It is the act of taking the ethereal energy of an idea and giving it a physical body through the vibration of your vocal cords, the pressure of the air, the sound wave that travels through space. The act of speaking is the bridge between the invisible world of the mind and the visible world of matter. It is your first act of materialization. You are taking something that only existed in the silent realm of consciousness and giving it a physical form, a tangible vibration in the world of matter. And the universe responds to this first embodiment with an immensely greater potency. The physics of the word. Why speaking is an act of power? Why is a spoken word exponentially more potent than a silent thought? The answer lies in 3 levels of impact that operate simultaneously. The vibrational impact, the sound that shapes matter. The science of cymatics has visually demonstrated spectacularly how sound shapes matter. When a pure sound frequency is applied to a surface covered with sand, salt or water, the particles, which were previously in a chaotic state, instantly organize themselves into perfect, beautiful, complex geometric patterns. The vibration of sound creates order out of chaos. Your words are that vibration. You are sending a frequency wave that interacts with the quantum field around you, instructing it, like the sand particles, to begin organizing itself according to the vibrational pattern of your decree. 2. The neurological impact, the multisensory reinforcement. The act of speaking strengthens the imprint on your own subconscious in a way that silent thought cannot match. By speaking, you create a multisensory feedback loop that recruits multiple areas of your brain, creating a much wider, more solid neural superhighway for your new belief. You think the word, your brain activates the motor cortex. You feel the physical vibration of the words in your chest, and finally, you hear the word with your own ears. This process involves multiple brain systems, engraving the new truth not just as an idea, but as a physical, sensory experience. You are literally wiring your new reality into your own brain with much greater force. The psychological impact, the command of authority. Finally, a spoken word, a decree carries a psychological weight of authority that a fleeting thought does not possess. A thought can be doubt, a question, a desire. A word spoken with intention is a command. The subconscious, your inner giant, responds to authority and certainty. The resonant voice of a decree spoken with conviction, with the tone of a king issuing a law in his kingdom, is an order that cannot be disobeyed. The supreme command, the secret of the I am. If the word is a key, then the words I am are the master key, the root command that gives you access to the system's core. An I am decree is not a simple affirmation. It is a declaration of identity. In metaphysics, it is the name of pure consciousness. When you preface your decree with I am, you are not asking for something. You are declaring a truth about your own nature. I want to have abundance is the prayer of a beggar. It affirms lack. I am abundance is the decree of a king. It affirms identity. It collapses time and space between you and your desire, because it declares that there is no separation. You are not trying to attract abundance. You are declaring that you are the substance and the consciousness of abundance, choosing to express itself. And the universe, which is a mirror of your declared identity, cannot help but reflect the truth you have proclaimed with such authority. The first practice, the art of forging the decree. A decree is a piece of consciousness engineering, a key carved with absolute precision to fit the lock of your subconscious. To have maximum potency, it must be forged following 3 fundamental laws. The law of the absolute present. Your decree must be a declaration of a truth that is a fact now on the plane of consciousness. Not I will be, but I am. The future tense is a guarantee that the desire will always remain just out of reach. The law of positive affirmation. Formulate your decree in positive, affirmative terms. Not I am not sick, but I am perfect health and radiant vitality. The law of emotional resonance. The words you choose must resonate with you. They must feel expansive and true on a deep level. They must be the words that make your heart sing. The second practice, the proclamation ritual. With your decree forged, personal, present, positive, and resonant, the time comes for the ritual. It is an act of sacred proclamation. Create the sacred space. Enter the empty cup, the sacred terminal. Achieve a state of inner stillness so that your word can fill it without interference. Embody the feeling. Before uttering a single word, first embody the feeling of your decree already fulfilled. The word must be born of the emotion, not the other way around. Proclaim the decree, speak, not with a shout of force, but with the calm resonance and unshakable authority of a king issuing a law. Feel the vibration of the words in your chest. Listen to yourself proclaiming your new truth, the seal of silence, the release. After proclaiming your decree, the most important act is silence. Do not repeat it anxiously throughout the day. That is doubt. You have given the command. Trust that it has been heard, and that the machinery of creation has been set in motion. Rest in the certainty that it is already done. The third practice, verbal coherence, living the decree. The proclamation ritual is the act of planting the seed. But for that seed to grow, you must water it with the coherence of your daily words. Your practice is verbal hygiene. Pay attention to the words you use in your everyday conversations. Do they reinforce your decree or contradict it? If you have decreed, I am abundance, but you spend the day complaining about prices, you are sending contradictory orders. The initiate in forbidden metaphysics learns to practice verbal hygiene. He speaks as if his new reality were already a fact. Not with arrogance, but with a natural calm. Instead of saying, this is too expensive, he says, I choose not to invest in this now. Instead of saying, I can't afford it, he says, that is not a priority for me at this moment. His language becomes a reflection of his new identity, not of his old circumstances. He is not lying. He is being loyal to the truth of his being. The key of the word has been revealed to you. Your voice is no longer a casual sound. It is the programming interface for your reality. You are the sovereign who proclaims the law of his own existence. Chapter 7. The Key of the Heart. Gratitude as a Magnet. We arrive at the key that not only opens the door but magnetizes the treasure to come to you. We must open the alchemist's chest. We must activate the key of the heart. From our childhood, we have been conditioned to understand gratitude as a social virtue, as a polite reaction. It is the thank you we say after receiving a gift. It is the blessing we give for food once it is on the table. In this paradigm, gratitude is the effect of an external cause. It is the celebration that takes place once the harvest is safe in the barn. It is the gratitude of the beggar, thankful for the coin he has received. But the forbidden knowledge inverts this law with a force that changes everything. It reveals to us that gratitude, in its highest and most creative form, is not an effect. It is the most potent cause of all. You do not feel grateful because the universe has given you something. The universe gives you something because you have dared, with a sovereign faith, to feel grateful first. Creative gratitude is the art and science of being grateful for your wish fulfilled before it manifests in the world of the senses. It is the clearest, most potent, and most unequivocal signal you can send to your subconscious mind and the quantum field. It is the telegram that arrives before the package, and that tells the universe with an unshakable certainty. Order received and completed on the plane of consciousness. Proceed with materialization. Most of us pray from a place of lack. We ask, we beg, we long. Each of these actions, no matter how sincere, is born from the underlying vibrational feeling of not having. And since the universe is a perfect mirror that reflects our state of being, not our words, our prayer of lack can only manifest more lack. Gratitude inverts this equation. When you feel genuine gratitude for something, it is psychologically, neurologically, and vibrationally impossible to feel that you are lacking it. Gratitude is the vibrational signature of wholeness. It is the emotion of reception. By generating this feeling deliberately, you are assuming the state of being of your wish already fulfilled. And this, and only this, is the language that your subconscious understands and obeys without exception. The physics of gratitude, the science of the magnet, the power of gratitude is not a simple, inspiring idea. It is a biochemical and biophysical fact. It is the engineering of creation in its most elegant form, the vibrational signature of reception. Your state of being is a frequency, and the universe, as a resonance field, gives you back a reflection of that frequency. The feeling of gratitude is the vibrational signature of wholeness. It is the energetic declaration, sung at the top of your lungs, that I already have, that I already am, that I am complete. It is impossible to feel genuine gratitude and a feeling of lack at the same time. They are mutually exclusive frequencies, like light and darkness. Therefore, gratitude is the perfect antidote to the scarcity mindset. It is the ultimate short circuit for the vibration of doubt and fear. By embodying the frequency of gratitude, you become a vibrating tuning fork that is perfectly tuned to the reality of your wish fulfilled. And by the law of resonance, that reality, which already exists as a potentiality in the quantum field, must be magnetically attracted into your experience. Gratitude is not asking the universe to send you something. It is tuning your radio to the station that is already broadcasting the music you want to hear. The irrefutable command to the subconscious. Your subconscious mind is the builder, the genie in the lamp. And it responds not to your words, but to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you feel gratitude for your healing, prosperity, or ideal relationship, as if they were already a tangible fact, you are giving your subconscious an final, irrefutable command. You are declaring that, on the only plane that truly matters, the plane of consciousness, the transaction is already completed. And your subconscious, that literal and infinitely powerful servant, will start working tirelessly to align the world of effects with this new inner reality. The coherence of the electromagnetic field. Your heart generates the most potent electromagnetic field in your body. The HeartMath Institute has shown that negative emotions like anxiety create a chaotic heart rhythm, static. Elevated emotions, particularly gratitude, create a coherent heart rhythm, a smooth, sinusoidal wave. Harmonizes your biology. This coherence synchronizes your brain, nervous system, and hormonal system, creating the optimal biochemical state for healing and creativity. Creates a powerful magnet. This coherent wave is the clearest, most potent signal you can emit to the quantum field. It is like a lighthouse with a laser beam, focused and powerful. And the universe responds to this clarity with astonishing speed and precision. Gratitude is not just a pleasant feeling. It is a state of biophysical engineering. It is the act of tuning your transmitter to the frequency of creation. The first practice, the wealth audit, the daily harvest. To tune in to gratitude, you must retrain your mind to see the wealth you already possess. Your brain has been programmed to scan for lack. Now you reprogram it to scan for treasures. Your practice is the daily audit of your assets, the treasure hunter's protocol. Every night before you sleep, you become a treasure hunter of your own day. You look for 3 to 5 specific blessings or gains for which you feel genuinely grateful. The key is specificity, because emotion resides in the detail. Don't write my family. Write, I'm grateful for the way the sunlight came through the window this morning and illuminated the dancing dust motes, reminding me of the magic hidden in the present moment. For each point you write, close your eyes for 60 seconds. Relive the moment. Feel the gratitude in your body, in your heart, until a smile is drawn on your face. You are rewiring your reticular activation system. You are telling your brain, stop looking for dangers and start looking for miracles. You fall asleep in the vibration of wholeness. The second practice, the gratitude burst, the frequency intervention. 2. Change a state of negativity immediately. You use a high-potency tool, a vibrational emergency intervention. The gratitude burst protocol is simple, explosive, and radically effective. Acknowledge and retreat. When you feel overwhelmed, retreat for 3 to 5 minutes. Set a timer. Start the whirlwind. During that time, non-stop, you verbalize or write down everything you are or could be grateful for, as fast as you can. Thank you for this roof. Thank you for my hands. Thank you for this challenge because I know it is making me stronger. The goal is not eloquence, but momentum and speed. It is to create a whirlwind, a vortex of high-frequency energy that literally short-circuits the negative thought patterns. The energy of gratitude generated with this intensity literally expels and dissolves the lower frequency energy of fear. The third practice, anticipatory gratitude, the golden harvest. The most advanced strategy is the art of giving thanks for the prayer already answered. The practice of anticipatory gratitude. In your scientific prayer in the portal of sleep, you do not ask. You give thanks. You connect with the image and, more importantly, with the feeling of your wish already fulfilled. And from that state of being, you formulate your decree as a thank you. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for the resounding success of this project. I feel immense gratitude for the abundance that now flows freely into my life. This act is the most powerful declaration of faith there is. It is the final signature on the contract with the universe. It is the unequivocal signal that tells your subconscious, this is not a possibility, it is an accomplished fact. Manifest it. The fourth practice, alchemical gratitude, blessing the obstacle. The final test of mastery is the ability to feel gratitude not only for the good, but also for the challenges. When you face an obstacle, instead of complaining, you ask the alchemist's question, what is the hidden gift here? And you begin to give thanks for it even before you see it. Thank you for this challenge, because I know it is making me stronger. Thank you for this closed door, because I know you are protecting me from a path that was not for me and redirecting me to a better one. This act of alchemical gratitude transmutes the energy of the obstacle, turning it from a wall into a stepping stone. Chapter 8. The Alchemy of Circumstance. Transforming lead into gold. Until now, we have focused our work on the creation of the new. But what do we do with the old? What do we do with the unwanted circumstances that are already present in our lives, that feel so solid, so real, so immutable? This is where the architect must become an alchemist. The alchemist is not a mere theorist. He is a practitioner, a craftsman of the sacred. He is not content with knowing the laws. He applies them in the fire of experience to produce a tangible transformation. His workshop is not the laboratory of the mind, but the laboratory of life itself. And the first and greatest of alchemical arts, the secret of the philosopher's stone, fares learning to take the densest substance of existence and transmute it into gold, the illusion of lead, the problem as energy. The untrained mind, the ego sees a problem as a solid, immutable object. An unwanted circumstance, a debt, an illness, a broken relationship, seems like a wall of lead, heavy, opaque, impenetrable. Our instinctive reaction, programmed by millennia of victim consciousness, is to lament its weight, curse its existence, and feel crushed by its presence. But the first truth of the alchemist is the same as that of the quantum physicist. Nothing is solid. That wall of lead you call your problem is not a thing. It is an energy pattern. It is a constellation of thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that, by vibrating at a low, dense, and chaotic frequency, has collapsed the quantum field into that specific form. Lead and gold, at a subatomic level, are made of the exact same substance, protons, and neutrons and electrons. The only difference between them is their atomic structure, the number and arrangement of these particles, which results in a different vibrational signature. Lead is a dense, chaotic vibration. Gold is a high, stable, and harmonious vibration. Therefore, a problem is not an immutable fact. It is energy in a state of disharmony. And if it is energy, it can be transformed. If it is a vibration, it can be tuned. Your problem is not a wall you must knock down with the brute force of effort and struggle. It is clay, dense, heavy, and seemingly intractable clay, yes, but clay nonetheless. And you are the sculptor. The fire of resistance. Why lead becomes heavier? What keeps that clay in its dense, heavy form? What gives the lead its apparent solidity and immutability? Your resistance. As we learned in the secret of non-resistance, what you resist persists. When you resist an unwanted circumstance, you are doing two alchemically disastrous things. You are feeding it with your attention. Your attention is the energy of creation. By focusing it on the problem, on how terrible it is, on how it ruins your life, you are watering the weed. You are pumping more of your own vital force into the same dense frequency, making the lead even heavier, more solid. You are solidifying it with your judgment. Your judgment, this is bad, this shouldn't be here, is an act of resistance that solidifies the energy. It is the hammer that hardens the lead of your problems. The first stage of alchemy, therefore, is not transformation, but dissolution. Before you can turn lead into gold, you must first melt the lead. The 3 steps of the alchemical process: solve et coagula, the ancient alchemical process of transmutation, described in ciphered texts to protect it from the uninitiated, can be summarized in 3 great stages that are a perfect map for the transformation of our circumstances. The motto was solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate, followed by fixation, fixatio. Dissolution, solve. The first step is to take the solid substance, the lead, and dissolve it into its primordial essence, make it liquid, malleable, return it to its state of pure potentiality. In our workshop, this is the act of accepting the circumstance without resistance, of withdrawing our judgment and our struggle so that the energy of the problem becomes fluid and neutral. Coagulation, coagula. Once the substance is fluid and formless, the alchemist introduces a new structure, a new ferment or seed of gold, so that the essence coagulates, solidifies into a new desired form. In our workshop, this is the act of applying the keys of imagination, vibration and decree to give that fluid energy a new, magnificent pattern. Fixation, fixatio. Finally, the alchemist must fix the new substance so that it does not revert to its old familiar state. In our workshop, this is the act of sustaining the new reality with faith and gratitude, ignoring the echo of the senses until the gold has completely solidified in our experience. The first practice, the dissolution, solve. Your first task is to take the solid, seemingly immutable substance of your problem and dissolve it into its primordial essence. You must make it liquid, malleable, return it to the state of neutral energy, and the only universal solvent capable of dissolving reality is acceptance without resistance. Protocol for dissolution. Identify your lead. Choose a single unwanted circumstance in your life to work on. Be specific. This specific debt that causes me anxiety. Observe it. Sit with the lead. In the stillness of your meditation, you sit with it. You invite it into your space. You say, I see you. You have my attention. Dissolve resistance with somatic observation. Close your eyes. Crucially, withdraw your attention from the story about the problem. Stop thinking about whose fault it is. Instead, bring all the light of your consciousness to how the problem feels in your body. Is it a tightness in the chest? A knot in the stomach? Observe it with detached curiosity. Apply the acceptance solvent. While observing the sensation, you pronounce in the silence of your mind the alchemist's first spell. This is what is now. I withdraw my resistance. I accept this energy as it is now. With every breath, you allow the contracted energy to be surrounded by loving consciousness, permitting it to be. By doing this, you stop feeding the problem with the energy of struggle. You have let go of the rope, and the energy of the problem, which was previously solid and heavy, will become more fluid, more neutral, less personal. You have melted the lead. The clay is now soft in your hands, ready to be molded. The second practice, the coagulation, coagula. With the energy of the circumstance now in a fluid, malleable state, it is time to give it a new form. It is time to introduce the ferment of gold, the seed of the new reality. Define your gold. What is the golden reality you wish to create from the energy of this lead? Be specific, not no more debt, but living in a state of financial freedom and abundant flow. Apply the 3 keys of creation. Now, you use the keys you have already forged, the inner eye, imagination. You construct the scene of the final outcome. You see yourself living in that reality of financial freedom. The key of vibration, the heart. You impregnate that scene with the music of your heart. You deliberately generate the vibration of gratitude, certainty, serene joy. This feeling is the ferment that begins to coagulate the formless energy into the new pattern. The key of the word, the decree, You seal the new form with the power of your decree. From that state of being you declare, I am the embodiment of financial freedom. My world is a reflection of my inner abundance. You have taken the neutral energy of the dissolved problem and given it a new command. You have coagulated the essence into the form of gold. The third practice, fixation, fixatio, the new form, the newly created gold, is still delicate. It needs to be fixed so that it does not revert to its old familiar state of lead at the first contact with the cold of doubt or the contradictory evidence of the external world. Loyalty to the invisible, the mirror test. Your practice is active faith. You maintain your attention and loyalty to the golden reality you have created within you, not to the shadow of the lead that your five senses may still reflect. When you see the old circumstance, you do not panic. You recognize it as a fading echo and return your attention to the truth of the gold in your heart. Gratitude as a fixing agent. Gratitude is the chemical agent that fixes the transmutation. Throughout your day, you pause to feel gratitude for the financial freedom that is already yours on the plane of consciousness. This constant feeling is the gentle fire that hardens the gold and makes it permanent. Inspired action as final polishing. You act in the world not from the desperation to fix the lead, but from the inspiration born of your new golden identity. You take the small inspired actions that arise from your state of confidence and abundance. Each aligned action is an act of polishing your new creation, making it shine ever brighter in the material world. The alchemy of circumstance has been revealed. You have learned that your problem is not a wall to be demolished with brute force, but clay to be sculpted with the wisdom of acceptance and the fire of intention. Chapter 9. The Elixir of Abundance, Applying the Keys to Prosperity. Before we can create the gold, we must understand the nature of the lead. Scarcity, the lack of money, the financial struggle, are not at their root an external condition. They are not the result of the economy, your boss, or your bad luck. They are a consciousness. They are the result of an inner state, a frequency, a set of beliefs and emotions that project, by the law of the mirror, a reality of not having enough. For the alchemist, poverty is not in the wallet. It is in the consciousness. And this poverty consciousness is composed of three toxic ingredients that we must learn to identify with the precision of a chemist. The poison of limiting belief, the source code of scarcity. These are the subconscious beliefs about money you absorbed in your childhood. The lines of code that were installed without your permission. Money is the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy. Money is difficult to get and even harder to keep. I am not good at managing money. These are programs that, if you believe them, your most loyal guardian will sabotage every opportunity for prosperity to keep you safe and coherent with your own limited identity. The density of the emotion of lack, the vibration of lead, these beliefs generate a low-frequency emotional state, the heavy, contractive vibration of lead fear, the fear of not being able to pay the bills, anxiety, the constant worry, envy, the pain of seeing the prosperity of others. This toxic emotional soup is the music you are playing, and the universe, as an obedient orchestra, can only accompany you with circumstances that resonate with that same dissonant music of scarcity. The action of struggle, the embodiment of poverty. This consciousness is manifested in actions that perpetuate the lack cycle. You make decisions based on fear, not expansion. You accept jobs you don't like for security. You reject receiving a compliment or help because you feel unworthy. This cocktail is the alchemical formula for lead. The first step of alchemy is to become fully aware of the lead you already possess. The alchemist's financial workshop, the dissolution of lead. Before you can create the gold of abundance, you must dissolve the lead of scarcity. The first practice, the lead audit, the shadow interrogation. You take your journal and conduct an audit of your poverty consciousness. You ask the forbidden questions. What did I learn about money in my childhood? What did my parents say and feel about wealth? What is the worst fear story I constantly tell myself about money? What secret belief might be sabotaging my prosperity? Do I believe it's dangerous, or that I'll have to sacrifice my family to be rich? What do I feel in my body when I think about my bank account? You write down all the toxic beliefs and fears. By bringing them from the dark basement of your subconscious into the light of the page, you have already begun to dissolve their anonymous power. The second practice, the solvent of acceptance, the end of the war. Now, you apply the universal solvent, acceptance without resistance. You look at your current financial situation, not as a failure, but as the perfect and logical reflection of your old programming. You accept with a sovereign calm, this is what is, and it is the perfect result of my former state of being. I accept it without resistance. This act of acceptance is like letting go of the rope in the tug-of-war game. It stops the war. The immense amount of energy you previously spent resisting your reality is now free to be redirected toward the creation of a new one. The lead, which was solid due to your resistance, begins to melt. The first practice, the gold blueprint, the inner eye key. The first act of coagulation is to give the energy a blueprint. Your practice is the creation of the golden scene. Define your gold. What is the golden reality you wish to create? Be specific, not no debt, but living in a state of financial freedom and abundant flow. Define the essence, the feeling, forge the final outcome scene. You use your imagination, the inner eye key, to forge a short first-person scene that implies your desire is already a fact. Perhaps it is the scene of logging into your banking app, seeing a balance that means freedom, and feeling a wave of deep, calm relief, the nightly rehearsal. In the portal of sleep, the drowsy state, you project this scene. You live it with sensory richness. You feel the relief, the peace, the gratitude. You repeat this scene like a lullaby, until it becomes your last conscious thought before sleeping. You are handing the gold blueprint to the master builder. The second practice, the heart's fire, the key of vibration and the heart key. A blueprint without energy is a dead dream. You must light the alchemist's fire, and that fire is your feeling. Generate it in your heart. Generate the gold frequency. Throughout your day, you deliberately generate the emotions that correspond to true abundance. Gratitude for what you have. Peace, the frequency of financial security. Relief, the frequency of liberation. Fuse the fire to the form. While holding your imaginary scene, you bathe it in these feelings. You feel the financial peace in every cell of your body. This union of image and emotion is the true act of coagulation. The third practice, the king's seal, the key of the word. Finally, you seal your creation with the authority of your decree, the key of the word, the identity decree. From that state of being, you declare your new truth. I am the embodiment of financial freedom. I am the inexhaustible source of my own supply. Abundance is my natural state of being. Verbal coherence, you live that decree. You stop participating in the language of lead, complaint, worry, scarcity talk. You start speaking the language of gold, possibility, gratitude, confidence. The fixation of gold, the practice of loyalty, the new form is still delicate. You must now fix it, make it permanent, through active faith. Think from the end. Faced with a financial choice, you ask, is this a wise investment for the abundant person that I am? Feel from the end. When anxiety over a bill tries to appear, you close your eyes for an instant and return to the feeling of peace and security you have cultivated as your new home. Act from the end. You give a generous tip, not as an expense but as a declaration that you live in a universe of sufficiency. You act as if you were already taking care of a magnificent fortune. The elixir of abundance has been distilled. You are no longer a victim of the economy. You are the alchemist of your own prosperity. You have learned that wealth is not something you chase in the world, but something you radiate from a transformed consciousness. Chapter 10. The Philosopher's Stone, the Secret of the I Am. The legend, whispered in cryptic texts and in secret societies throughout the centuries, tells us of the Philosopher's Stone as a mythical substance, a stone, a powder, or an elixir capable of performing two miracles, transmuting any base metal, such as lead, into pure gold and granting immortality to its possessor. For centuries, the uninitiated, the literal mind, have interpreted this legend in a material way. They have searched for a chemical formula, an external substance, a magic shortcut to wealth and eternal life. But the initiate in the 33rd degree of this knowledge, the one who has completed his journey through the laws of the mind, knows that the legend is a veil, a symbol that conceals the deepest and most liberating truth of all. Throughout this journey, you have operated from the identity of the alchemist. It is an identity of immense power, a quantum leap above victim consciousness. But it is still an identity based on duality. On the last and most subtle of separations, there is an I, the alchemist, who acts. There is a substance, the lead of circumstances, that is acted upon, and there is a tool, the keys, the technique, the fire of consciousness, that is used to act. As long as you remain in this identity of the doer, the alchemist who performs the transmutation, your power, though great, is still indirect. It still requires a process, an effort, a time. A gap still exists between cause and effect. The final revelation, the one that graduates you from master to avatar, is this: the philosopher's stone is not a tool the alchemist uses. It is the state that the alchemist becomes. You do not seek the stone, you are the stone. The nature of the philosopher's stone, the pure consciousness of the I am. What is this state of consciousness? It is the final dissolution of the personal self-identity, the ego's mask, the character you have been playing. And it is the remembrance and embodiment of your one true identity, the pure, silent, unchanging and eternal consciousness, the formless source from which all creation emanates, the heart of the cosmos. It is the realization, not as an intellectual idea, but as a cellular, visceral experience of the truth of the I am. You are not a drop in the ocean of consciousness. You are the entire ocean, experiencing itself at the focal point of a drop. When you reach this state, the process of creation is completely inverted. The alchemist, the personal self, tries, from his limited perspective, to change creation from outside in. He applies a technique to get a result. He operates from doing. The philosopher's stone, the I am consciousness, simply is, and creation, by law, conforms to its being from inside out. It operates from being. The alchemist tries to transmute lead into gold, a process that requires time and effort. The philosopher's stone, on the other hand, radiates such a frequency of gold, such coherence, such power, that everything its consciousness touches is instantly transmuted into its own golden nature. The golden touch. You do not have to do healing. You become the consciousness that declares, I am perfect health, and your body, which is a projection of your consciousness, has no choice but to align with that decree of identity. You do not have to make a relationship work. You embody the consciousness that knows I am unconditional love, and your relationships become a mirror of that inner harmony. This is the end of technique. It is the end of the struggle. It is the end of doing. And it is the beginning of effortless creation, manifestation as a natural, inevitable, and joyful radiation of your own being. The first practice, the dissolution, solve. Your first task is to take the solid, seemingly immutable substance of your problem and dissolve it into its primordial essence. You must make it liquid, malleable, return it to the state of neutral energy. The only universal solvent is acceptance without resistance. Protocol for dissolution. Identify your lead. Choose a single unwanted circumstance to work on. Observe it. Sit with the lead. In the stillness of your meditation, invite the circumstance to enter your space. Dissolve resistance with somatic observation. Withdraw your attention from the story about the problem. Bring all the light of your consciousness to how the problem feels in your body. Observe the tension, the knot in the stomach. Do not judge it. Apply the acceptance solvent. Pronounce the alchemist's first spell. This is what is now. I withdraw my resistance. I accept this energy as it is now. With each breath, you send loving consciousness to the tension, allowing it to become fluid and neutral. You have stopped feeding the problem with the energy of struggle. You have melted the lead. The clay is now soft in your hands. The second practice, the coagulation, coagula. With the energy of the circumstance now fluid and malleable, it is time to give it a new form. It is time to introduce the ferment of gold, your clear, sustained and felt vision. Define your gold. Define the expansive, positive opposite of your lead, not no more debt, but living in a state of financial freedom and abundant flow. Apply the 3 keys of creation. You use the keys you have forged, the inner eye, imagination, You forge the scene of the final outcome, the relief of paying a bill with gratitude. The key of vibration, the heart. You generate the vibration of gratitude, certainty, and serene joy. This feeling is the ferment that begins to coagulate the formless energy into the new pattern. The key of the word, the decree. You seal the new form with your decree. From that state of being you declare, I am the embodiment of financial freedom. My world is a reflection of my inner abundance. You have taken the neutral energy of the dissolved problem and given it a new command. You have coagulated the essence into the form of gold. The third practice, fixation, fixatio. The newly created gold is still delicate. It needs to be fixed so that it does not revert to its old familiar state of lead. Loyalty to the invisible, the mirror test. You practice active faith. You maintain your attention and loyalty to the golden reality you have created within, even if your senses still show the reflection of the lead. You recognize the old circumstance as a fading echo and return your attention to the truth of the gold in your heart. Gratitude as a fixing agent. Gratitude is the chemical agent that fixes the transmutation. Throughout your day, you pause to feel gratitude for the financial freedom that is already yours on the plane of consciousness. This constant feeling is the gentle fire that hardens the gold. Inspired action as final polishing. You act in the world not from the desperation to fix the lead, but from the inspiration born of your new golden identity. You take the small inspired actions that arise from your state of confidence and abundance. The Philosopher's Stone has been revealed to you. You are the consciousness that, by declaring I am and embodying that truth, transmutes base metal into gold. You are the ultimate alchemist, and your laboratory is your own being. We have reached the end of the manuscript. Together, we have torn the veil of the great illusion and exposed the conspiracy against our power, both external and internal. We have reclaimed the primordial law. The universe is mental. Then we forge the keys of power. The key of vibration, to learn to speak the language of the universe. The key of the inner eye, to become the architects of our reality. The key of the word, to seal our creations with the power of decree. And the key of the heart, to magnetize our future with gratitude. With the keys in hand, we became alchemists. We learned the alchemy of circumstance, to transmute the lead of our problems into the gold of our power. We distilled the elixir of abundance. And finally, in the culminating revelation, we discovered that the Philosopher's Stone was not a tool, but our true identity. The consciousness of the I am. You have deciphered the forbidden knowledge. You have received the keys to the kingdom. And now, with reverence, we close the pages of this ancient wisdom. But here lies the final truth, the secret that the manual keeps until its last page. The truth is that this audiobook, these words, were never the source of your power. They were only a mirror, an echo, designed to remind you of the power that has always resided within you. The true forbidden manuscript, the true sacred book, is not made of ink and parchment. It is you. Your life from this moment on is the living book. Every day you wake up is a blank page. Every thought you hold is a sentence you write. Every emotion you embody is the color of the ink. Every action you take is a stroke of the pen. You are no longer the reader trying to decipher someone else's destiny. You are the author. The laws you have learned are not rules you must follow. They are the tools of your craft, the instruments with which you now compose the symphony of your existence. Your journey of learning has ended. Your masterpiece begins now. Upon waking each morning, you will no longer ask yourself what life has in store for you. You will approach the blank page of your day, and with the sovereign calm of an author, you will ask yourself the only question that matters. What magnificent story do I choose to write today? If this forbidden knowledge has opened the book of your own soul and awakened the author within you, we invite you to continue this exploration. Subscribe to our channel, Path of Knowledge, for more wisdom that liberates. Like this video as a declaration that you are ready to write your own story. Share this knowledge with someone who needs to remember that they hold the pen in their own hand. Thank you for your time, for your courage to unlearn, and for the brave decision to stop reading life and at last start writing it.